Welcome back to LearnPianoLive.com. My name is Jamin, and as you can tell from the countdown clock, the lesson is about to get started. In case you're new with this, there's a few things I'd like to show you to help you throughout the lesson. So this lesson is about reharmonization. That means we're going to take an existing song and we're going to find new chords to play over the same melody. Now, that means that you're probably going to need to already know about chords and keys and probably intervals, and probably have already several songs that you can play well enough that they actually sound like the song. But even if you can't do that, you might pick up some interesting theory bits along the way. So feel free to join us. The goal, though, is not this song. It's not about the song that we're working on. It's really about taking the concepts you like, the reharmonizations, the substitutions that you like from this lesson, and then applying them to other songs that you already know how to play. These lessons are always guided and shaped by your questions, and if you're live with us today, there's a couple different ways you can do that. One is in the public live chat, and the other is the Ask Jamin a Question button, where you can ask me a question privately, and I won't share your identity in case you're afraid that your question is stupid. But it's not. If you're in the archives, though, then just open up the survey. At the end of that, there's a place where you can ask your question. I will say I frequently get questions from students in the archives watching a lesson from 6 months ago, and I have no idea what they're talking about. So please try to be as specific as possible. If you're watching this at LearnPianoLive.com, there should be a PDF and an MP3 button right next to this video. The PDF will often have additional video links inside, so you can get more in-depth instruction on each of the topics. And if you're the kind of person who likes to print out the PDF so you can make the same notes on your physical version as I'm making during the lesson, now would be the time to do that. The MP3 is just a play-along track so you can practice more after the lesson. In traditional lessons, a teacher is going to actually present some new concept for maybe 5 or 10 minutes every couple weeks. The rest of the time is going to be spent applying and refining those concepts. Well, here I'm spouting off hours of new information every week, so it's totally unreasonable to expect you to actually absorb all of that. Instead, the goal of these live lessons is for you to find some little nugget of something that makes sense, but is a bit of a challenge, and for you to go practice it, because practice is where all the improvement's going to happen. So don't feel bad if you have to leave the live lesson when you find that little thing that you're going to practice. And of course, if I'm going too fast, you can always rewind the live lessons or replay in the archives as much as you want. If these live lessons start feeling random or meandering, it's because they are, on purpose. So if you're the kind of person who wants classical training with a step-by-step method, then you're going to want to check out Kloppel Academy on the website. It's included in your live lesson subscription, so you can do both or either. And the upper levels are seriously hard work, but it's going to take you all the way from ground zero all the way up to being ready to enter any major music college as a piano major in classical or jazz. And thankfully, I think that's about all we need to cover before the lesson. So if you'd stick around afterwards and fill out the survey, I would love your feedback. But for now, let's have some fun and make some music. Welcome back to LearnPianoLive.com. My name is Jamin, and this is a woman who is deceptively good at words with friends. What in the world? What in the world?
Thank you.
I'm like, do you play games? She's like, oh, I used to play with words with friends. And so I'm like, all right, cool. And then invite her. I went easy on her because,
You went easy on me?
at the beginning until you landed like 5 60-point words in a row, and then I was like, oh, never mind. And she killed me on the first game. So I shall have my revenge. I hope, but I don't know if I can beat you or not. So I'm a little depressed.
Thank you. Not that you're depressed. I was really fun.
Yeah, okay.
I
bet.
have played lots of word games on my phone, but I hadn't played Words with Friends in a while. And I haven't played a whole lot of Scrabble.
Okay.
I used to.
This with the piano and words with friends were like my two reasons to stay alive. And
I didn't know you were going easy on me.
Not for very long. Not for very long. All right. Well, you're killing me in this game. And yeah, we're okay. Anyway, this is the incomparable Kendra, apparently incomparable in every way.
Thank you. Should I share? I haven't done a whole lot of exciting things this past week, but I did start a book called Circle of Shadows.
Started writing or reading? Reading. Oh, okay. It's a book already.
Yes.
Okay,
yes, this is already a book.
What's it called?
Circle of Shadows.
Circle of Shadows.
And I'm only 2 chapters in, but it's good so far.
Okay. Cool. Well, let's get into this week's song, which is last week's song and the week before song and the week before song, but we're doing something new with it each week, and today we're going to reharmonize it. So we're going to start out by just playing what we played in the last lesson, so you know where our starting point is. We'll jump off from there. It's just these 4 chords in a row: E flat minor, B, G flat, and D flat. And if you would zoom out, I think we're going to start, even though it's the beginner lesson, it's not really a beginner concept. So even the easy version of reharmonizing is not necessarily easy. But hopefully, if you were at the previous lessons and you have already practiced this thing, then you can already do this much of it. Let's go.
With the track?
Yeah, with the track. It would sound like this.
You were the shadow to my light. Did you feel us? Another start. You fade away, afraid our aim is out of sight. Wanna see us alive. Where are you now? Where are you now? Where are you now? Was it all in my fantasy?
Cool. So let's turn the volume up on the track a little bit because I'm gonna get a little bit louder on the piano. And then the first thing we want to do with this, before we do any real reharmonization of it or anything, is just add 7s and 9s and 6s to these chords. So that means if you can already do that, and preferably if you can also do the inversions that we've talked about on the chords, just playing them in that same chord in different positions. Then we want to add in the note that is on the right and is on the left by 1 note in the scale. We spent a lot of time in both of the last lessons talking about the key of G flat. So we're gonna stay inside of that scale and just play the note that is on both sides, staying within the key. So the note that is on both sides of this root right here, the E flat chord, is those 2 notes right there. So if we go down 1 note, we'd land on the D flat, and if we go up 1 note, we would land on the F. So this is the first thing we're gonna do, is play that chord right there, which ends up being an E minor 9. Like that. So that's the E flat, 1, 3, and the 5, and then that's the 7 and the 9. The way we come up with that is that there's the 1, the 3, and the 5, and then if you jump up 2 notes within the scale from the 5, you would land on the 7 because you'd be jumping over the 6. And then if you go up 1 note from the 7, you would land on the root of the chord, but you could also consider that the 8, and if you went 1 note past that, that would be the 9. So now you have the 1, the 3, the 5, the 7, and the 9, but because of the inversion thing, we're allowed to bring both of these notes down here and still the same chord, but that's a little bit messy. So instead of trying to play all of those notes all at the same time, we can just take the root out because we're already playing the root in the left hand. And so now we've got this thing. That's kind of how we ended up with all of them. So that's the E flat minor 9, but you might see me playing that in the other inversions as well in the song. So then we'd go to the B flat, and we'd play the note that's on both sides of the root. So that would be that one and that one inside the key of G flat. And that ends up being a B major 7. And then we play the G flat chord and the note that's on both sides of the root in the G flat chord. Those right there. And that ends up being a G flat major, actually G flat major 9. But the triangle means major 7 or a major 9. And then the D flat, the note that's on both sides of the D flat in the key of G flat are those two notes right there. So it's going to be a D flat 7. So now I haven't changed a single chord yet. I've just added the note that's on both sides. I've added the 7 and the 9 for all these chords, and now the track sounds something like this.
You were the shadow to my light. Did you feel us? Another start, you fade away. Afraid our aim is out of sight. Wanna see us alive. Where are you now? Where are you now? Where are you now? Was it all in my fantasy? Where are you now? Were you only imaginary?
So that's just the exact same chords. I haven't actually reharmed anything. It sounds different now. It sounds jazzier because I've added extensions to the chords, but it's really the same thing. And now we're going to start reharmonizing by taking a look at each chord and playing the 5 of that chord before it. So in other words, on this, let's take this B chord right here. On the B chord, we already said that's the 1, the 3, and the 5 of the B chord. So before the B chord, I could play the 5 of the B chord. I could play the G flat leading into the B, specifically a G flat 7. So I'd play a G flat 7 right there, and that would lead me into the B. Okay, cool. Let's try that on a different one. What if we went into the, let's go into the G flat right here. So the 5 of G flat, if we just play the G flat chord like we played it before, 1, 3, and 5, D flat 7 leads us into the G flat. So we're just putting the 5 of chords before the chords to lead into them. So we've got a little bit more material to work with, but honestly, we kind of already had enough material to work with. But this is something you could do to just add more movement inside of, especially songs that don't have very fast chord progressions. If one chord is lasting a long time, then you can start to kind of telegraph what the next chord is going to be by playing the 5 of it before it. So now we've got E flat minor 7, E flat minor 9. That's going to go to a G flat 7 to the B, and then that's going to go to the D flat 7 to the G flat. And then if we wanted to, we could put the 5 of the D flat in there. We might as well, just for the practice of it. So this is my D flat chord. The 5 of it, 1, 3, and 5, would be an A flat 7. So an A flat 7 is going to lead into the D flat. So now we've got a lot of movement in this song. It's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that, along with the track, might sound something like this.
You were the shadow to my light. Did you feel us? Another start, you fade away. Afraid our aim is out of sight. Wanna see us alive. Where are you now? Where are you now? Where are you now? Was it all in my fantasy? Where are you now? Were you only imaginary?
That's kind of interesting. I'm really dying to play the 5 of E flat before the E flat. So knowing that we're going to loop back around here, the question would be what would lead into the E flat. And so in this case, that's my E flat. That'd be the 5 because we have the 1, the 3, and the 5. So a B flat 7 would lead into an E flat minor 9. And so this, now I've got a chord on every 2 beats. There's no pauses in here. I'm not gonna like the sound of that, but the point of this lesson is not to get a reharm that I like, but to get practice on all these concepts, so you can take these concepts and move them into your own songs and do your own reharms. So here we go. Too much movement, and we've got the B flat 7 in there now. It's gonna sound like this.
You were the shadow to my light. Did you feel us? Another star, you fade away. Afraid our aim is out of sight. Wanna see us alive. Where are you now? Where are you now? Where are you now? Was it all in my fantasy? Where are you now? Were you only imaginary?
Okay, so now we've done all of that stuff. Now it's time to actually reharm. We've added in chords, and we have added 7s and 9s to all of our chords. And so now you can go to learnpianolive.com/reharm and use these wheels right here. And the first thing that we would do that is completely random here is alter dominant when pointing to a diatonic minor. So all this means is we got to start at the end of that, actually. Diatonic minor. Diatonic minor means a minor chord that would show up naturally inside the key. So the key is G flat major. And so then we have to ask ourselves, do we have any minor chords in here that show up naturally inside of the key of G flat, don't violate the rules of G flat? So the answer is yes, we do. We've got an E flat minor 9 right here, and that's the only minor chord, and it does happen to be inside of the key of G flat. So that means that we're going to lead into it using an altered dominant chord. That we already have a dominant chord right here. So we've got the B flat 7 right there. So now we're just going to alter this thing. We're going to put in some other notes like the 9. We have a 9, an 11, and a 13 that we could possibly alter. So I'm going to put in a flat 9 and a flat 13. If you want to, you could also put in a sharp 11. So I'm not going to, but you could. So now we get the 1, the 3, and the 5. This one right here would be the flat 13, and this would be the flat 9. So now my chord is something like that. So we'll take a break after we listen to this through once, where you can hear that chord right there leading into that E flat minor 9. So it's a B flat altered chord. I've altered pretty much all of the possible extensions of the B flat dominant chord. Let's try it.
You were the shadow to my light. Did you feel us? Another star, you fade away. Afraid our aim is out of sight. Wanna see us alive. Where are you now? Where are you now? Where are you now?
All right, so that's your altered chord.
Was it all in my
But before we get back to any more reharms that are actual real reharms of this thing, let's take our short break for today.
Hey Jamin, it's time for our feature of the day, which today is the quote of the day.
The quote of the day. Do you have the quote of the day there?
I do.
Have you heard it before?
I am not sure that I have.
Okay. Yeah, this has come up in several exchanges with students recently. Go ahead.
The obstacle is the way.
Yeah, and
That's the quote.
yeah, attributed to a lot of people. And Ryan Holiday has an entire book on this, which I would highly recommend. It's great. He's really into Marcus Aurelius, and so this is kind of taken from a lot of his stuff, and also a lot of Hindu stuff or Buddhist stuff. See, now I'm already in trouble because I don't know where the quote is from, and neither does anyone else really. But the obstacle is the way just means that, like, when you're grinding through this stuff, like everyone is looking for that shortcut of like, what can I do to get around this? Or like, am I doing this wrong? It seems like this is really difficult. And that's kind of the whole point, is that the difficulty is what we're here for. Trying to struggle through these things is what's going to make you the piano player that you want to be in the end. So don't try to get around the struggle. Go straight through the struggle, because that's the only thing that's going to get you what you want. You actually want the struggle. So if you're practicing and it's all fun and it's all easy, you're not getting any better. So that's cool. That's fun. But that's probably not what you want if you're here. You're wanting to get better. So find that one thing, that one tiny little thing that makes sense in your head, but your hands can't quite do it yet, and just grind away on that. And especially in these adult lessons, we run into that a lot, because you guys will watch through the whole entire lesson. You'll try to do all the concepts in it. And for most people, that's just not possible, because we go on to the intermediate and the advanced levels and stuff like that. And so if you feel like, but I can't do all of it yet, that's fine. The goal is for you to take that one little thing that's difficult for you, makes sense in your head, but your hands can't quite do it yet, and then just grind away on that thing until you get through it. And for some concepts and for some people, that takes a long time, but that's what's going to develop that skill into you. That's what's going to develop that skill in you that you're looking for. So the obstacle, don't try to go around it. Go through it. The obstacle is the way. Now let's get back to this after this short break. So sadly, the lesson preview has come to an end, and it's time to say goodbye to everyone watching the free streams. Of course, paying subscribers at learnpianolive.com can continue watching this lesson and several hundred others like it in the archives. So come on over and check us out. And if you like what you saw, at least like and subscribe, and then tell your friends to head on over to learnpianolive.com to start enjoying this journey with us.